All right, hey, Rob Baker. I'm the Director of Technology at Cincinnati Country Day School, and I decided to finally take a half an hour and make a down and dirty video of our journey here at Country Day since we deployed Surface Pros starting 5 years ago. So 2 years of Surface Pro 3, 2 years of Surface Pro 4, and this year the Surface Pro 5, although Microsoft is not calling it Surface Pro 5. Good news though, it's Surface Pro 6 next year. But anyway, it is so hard and challenging in education to make sure that the students have a stylus. Stylus is a game changer in terms of education, and these Surface Pro 3s with digital ink and styli are clearly the best way, the best type of device to deploy when you're educating kids. But it's way too hard to keep these styli working and connected to the devices so that the kids don't lose them. We work very hard, tirelessly. It's frankly absurd the things we've jumped through, and I thought you'd find it interesting to see what our journey over the last 5 years to try to keep a stylus working with a good tip and always tethered to the device. So that's what follows here. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so let's start with the styli. Year one, Surface Pro 3 with the pen with the purple top. Year two, same thing, Surface Pro 3, same stylus, tips worked great, only got one tip in the box, no extras available. Year three, we switch to the Surface Pro 4. We get a different pen. It's got a flat side, which is supposed to take advantage of the magnet, still has a clip, and comes with a new tip that has a great feel but breaks incredibly easily, but does come with replacement tips in the box of the stylus, which we luckily confiscate during deployment. So we have 200 devices, we confiscate these, that gives us 800 extra tips, which we needed because these tips break very, very quickly. The default is the HB. We stopped replacing it with the HB because it broke and used one of the other tips. Fast forward to year four. We're doing okay with tips because we have so many, but the kids are breaking them. I would say every single tip for every single user in general broke, and we had to replace it, and kids took them out and lost them, etc. Year four, same Surface Pro 4, same pen, except now this doesn't come in the box. We did not get extra tips in the box, I don't believe, on year four. I actually can't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure we didn't get the extra tips. If we did, we confiscated them again and had a bunch of tips, but I think we had to rely on year one. Same tip, same issue, they're breaking like crazy. We run out of tips. We run out of tips. All the tips we had, we run out eventually here during this year and have to start buying third-party tips. Because these are crazy expensive, and then at some point they're not even available. Can't get them. Fast forward to the current year, Surface Pro 5, we get another new pen. No clip this time. First time you got rid of a clip, still flathead magnet. New and improved tip. I met with the Surface team and they told me that they figured out that yes, this was an issue, so they reinforced the tip, and no difference. If anything, it's worse than the Surface Pro 4 pen. It just breaks up a little higher above the reinforced area of this new improved tip. Again, no extra tips. As far as I'm aware, none available. We've had to buy a bunch of third-party plastic tips to try to get through until we can find a reasonable solution from Microsoft. In education, you've got to, if you're taking advantage of the powerful modality of digital ink, you need a great active digitizer with an active stylus, and you need to tether it, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about in our journey here at Country Day. All right, so you must tether. You must tether the stylus in education. Once you have this powerful modality, it's got to be available at all times. We require our students to have their stylus tethered at all times, required. And we work hard to make sure that's actually happening. So here we go, year one, Surface Pro 3, bump cases don't exist yet. We deploy, we need a way to tether the styli. So we use the tab that comes with it. We find a good leathering tool to put this awesome hole in there, which we then attach some stretchy string we find to be the best. and we tie off the stylus here and then attach it to the hole. So it looks like that. Turns out the glue on this is useless, so we had to do some experimenting. Turns out this exterior two-sided glue tape is what worked best for us. It hardens eventually and kept that thing on there for us. End of year one, Surface Pro 3, STM comes out with a reasonable case. We get it on at the end of the year. Thank God we stopped breaking our screens. We're pretty happy. Don't do anything different. There's still no tether point. STM doesn't consider the fact that the stylus is a thing and that you must tether it. No tether point. So literally we do the same thing. We just put it on the outside of the case. Same exact process with the tabs. We start buying these because they're losing them and they fall off, and we have to work really hard with the kids to get this to happen. But we are tethered and we are happy. Year two, Surface Pro 3, again, we deploy them with this case on. Case is better. This is what it looks like year two. These cases do not hold up well. They start breaking like crazy. So now we're on year three. Let me move some of this stuff. So we're up to year three, and now we're at Surface Pro 4. We deploy Surface Pro 4s with this new Brenthaven case, which we love. It's got a tether point. A tether, all right? It comes with a tether point and a tether, and we attach it to, see if I can get this, the pen. We have the clip, so we just attach the tether to the clip, and on these cases, the clip is what is relied upon for pen storage. We don't have access to that magnet. We got the new stylus here with the awesome flat side for the magnet, but we don't have access to that because of our bump case. So we're still pretty good shape. We're best we've ever been. We're tethered. We got a great military spec grade bump case. We've got a tether built in, and we've got storage, and we're pretty happy. Kids start ripping the clips off like crazy, and that's why this looks like this. We do tape, we do glue, we do all kinds of things because we have to have the clip. The clip is where we tether to, and the clip is how the kids keep the stylus attached to the device. Clip is important. Clip falls off. Pretty hard to get that to work, and we try lots of things. The Surface Pro 3 cases that I told you about, the old black ones, these, the black STM, start breaking like crazy. We don't want to replace them with those. They're no good. We want to use these cases. The problem is on the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Pro 3, you guys changed some ports. These two no longer line up. And at the top, on the Surface Pro 4, obviously the power is here and the volume rockers are here. On the Surface Pro 3, the power is the same, but the volume rockers are over here on the side. We don't care. We love this case so much, we decide that we're replacing every single old case with a new one, and but it doesn't fit. But I figure out that if I could just cut it a little bit, and that's what the top one is, if I could just cut it a little bit, I can make it work on both. So I figure out how to do that. These are pretty strong, so we make one of these, a soldering iron, and we figure out how to attach a sharp blade to the end of it. We plug it in, heat it, and I'm able to cut this middle thing and some of this out so that we can deploy the Surface Pro 4 cases to Surface Pro 3s as well. Try to get Brenthaven to change the design so it works for both. They are not interested in doing that. So now we're deploying these. I would say that every single computer has one of these, whether it's a Surface Pro 3 or a Surface Pro 4 now, and we're doing pretty well. Still the same tether point, still relying on the clip to store these things. Still relying on the clip to store these things. Still have the clip. Clips are still falling off. Remember, our tips are breaking like crazy, and we're out, and we're trying to find solutions for that. A lot of stuff to make work. All right, here we go. New pen, Surface Pro 5, although you didn't call it that, comes with no clip. Wow, no clip. That's a problem for us because, again, the clip is how we attach the tether and how it connects to the case. So now we're in trouble because at some point we can only get the new pens and we have this case. All kinds of craziness trying to figure that out to get a way to put a clip on there. But moving forward, we did switch to the next gen of the case, and we're pretty happy. The solution doesn't rely on a clip. Problem solved, right? Well, there's no way to tether it. So this company, if you've never seen it, Brenthaven actually included a plastic connector with a tether that you're supposed to put on. You're supposed to put on there, and it just sort of sits there, worthless. So we had to figure out how to permanently attach it. This is actually version 1. This is really heavy duty shrink tape that we heated with a heat gun. We ended up using clear, and we're in a pretty good place now, but again, it shouldn't be this hard. The evolution of making sure that these styli are available and working for our students all day, every day, has been a painful journey that we're willing to take, because we've been doing this for a long time. But are other schools willing to take it? We got to make this easier for schools. I've been talking to the Surface team for years about this, trying to get them to do some simple basic things, to get some extra tips to education, to get a cheaper pen for education, to consider the fact that educators need to tether the pen in their designs. And none of that is happening, and now I feel like we're in a crisis. With the newest pens, we now have no way to, when we're replacing pens, you can't get the old clip, so we've bought some metal clips, and we're bending them, and we're shrink wrapping on top of those to tether, because you don't know which case a kid has. Most of our cases have the slot that rely on the clip, so you got to have a clip in your pen or it doesn't work. Only this year's machines have the new cases where you don't need a clip to connect to the case. So tips. The tips were supposed to be improved, and they are way worse, and there's no way to buy these things in bulk. We need help, and if we need help, I can't imagine what other schools who are just going down this road are experiencing in terms of these styli and getting them tethered and helping the kids keep track of this essential tool for education. So anyway, I thought I'd take you down a little trip here and see if that helped explain all this. And I really hope that the Surface team can respond to some of this and really help educators use these awesome, powerful devices that they've made. This is by far the best device for education. It's not even close, but it's got to be easier for schools, bigger schools not as experienced as Country Day, to be able to deploy and manage this stuff and keep these tools working and in the hands of children who start as young as 10 for us, that we deploy one-to-one. All right, here's the last step of the journey. This year's deployment. Brand new heat gun, new shrink wrap, and here's what it looked like when we handed it to the kids. Surface Pro 5, new case. The case, as I said, no longer relies on the clip, so we love that. That's really cool. Great. We have tether points. No way to tether, so what Brenthaven did was added this little piece of plastic that clips onto the pen. Pretty useless. It would just pop off. It's a tether point, so we couldn't deploy like that. The kids would just slide it off and lose their pens. That's why we got this and the heat gun. We decided the best way to do this was to etch the name of the kid there. You can see that too, but we had to shrink wrap that solution on there, so we've got a good solid tether point that the kids cannot lose the device. But we've got a bunch of kids with the old case that rely on the clip. Maybe they come in with their stylus and the clip broke off. That happens a lot. We don't have any more clips. We don't have any of these because they come with the bump case. So we had to buy a bunch of these. I found this is literally the only one I could find. I bend it with pliers, and that lets me snap it on these things. And then we shrink wrap that and tether it so that they have a tether point and a way to store it on the case. Or your new pens, the new styli, no clip. So if you have to replace your pen, it's the same thing. If you have this bump case, you need a clip. So we have to do this. It's mind-numbing, the things we have to do to make sure that this works. And hoping that you guys will finally take some of our advice and make it easier for education.